Continue with the body piercing jewelry basics. We're going to talk about width today, how wide it is. Coming up next on Body Piercing Basics, episode number 145. For those who are new to the channel, welcome to the Body Piercing and Tattooing channel. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Hope you're finding them helpful and useful, but you might not know who I am. My name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I own and operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, located right here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside Skin Kitchen Tattoo. So what we're going to talk about today is how we're going to talk about, what is width, why is it important, how do you measure it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, in essence, this is the amount of room that's between one side of the jewelry and the other side of the jewelry. It's the amount of space in most jewelry that can actually fit inside the piercing. And it varies from jewelry style to jewelry style. Let's go into how do we measure them, starting with rings. Rings are measured from the widest point of the circle inside to inside. That is the width. Understand that with rings and circular jewelry, like circular barbells and etc., you're not going to be able to fit all of that jewelry inside the piercing. So usually the rings are oversized well beyond the length of the piercing. We'll talk a little bit more about that in either this video or future ones. On curved barbells, it is measured from the inside of each ball on that quarter curvature. This is important because it needs to be wide enough to fit through the piercing comfortably. Standard barbells measured from inside of ball to inside of ball. Also, post jewelry, including labret studs and etc., is measured inside to inside. So from the back of the end to the disc. Now, bent jewelry like L-bends and nostril screws is usually measured from the back of the gem setting or whatever setting's on the outside that's going to sit on the outside of the nose to where that bend begins, that right angle. Retainers, usually made of glass or plastic. Personally, I don't suggest putting plastic in your body. There's other videos about that, the toxicities and etc. Glass, though, it makes a fantastic retainer in situations where, especially medical situations. Now, they are measured by basically where the end is, the disc or whatever is the closure on one side that's permanent to where that O-ring sets. Usually when we say something is a 3/8 or whatever, or going in at 3/8, a piercing that usually carries a 3/8, we usually want something that's probably roughly about 1/8 of an inch or longer to allow that room for that O-ring to get on there, that rubber O-ring, and keep it from falling out. Now, you might ask, why is this important? Well, it's important because if you don't have the proper size jewelry in the piercing, then it is going to cause the jewelry to cause trauma to the piercing. It can start to embed or dig into tissue. If it's too tight, if it's too long, it can constantly get snagged on things and cause all kinds of problems of sliding back and forth during the healing process and afterwards. Also, it's common with some piercings that if the jewelry is too long, it'll start bending out of alignment to a different angle where it migrates out of place. It's always best to have jewelry that fits the piercing long at first to allow for swelling. Once that swelling period's over, and roughly about 6 to 8 weeks, downsizing to something that fits a little more snugly is going to end the healing process a lot easier, make it a lot easier, and reduce the likelihood of problems. Now, you might be asking, well, what if I want to wear a ring in this eventually? I don't suggest, there are some piercings we do with a ring. No way around it. Generally, the rule on rings is you take the width of the piercing and you add between 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch. And the reason why is we want the area that's inside the piercing to be flat as possible. If you put it, like let's say a 1/2 inch ring in a 1/2 inch wide piercing, it's not going to want to go through the piercing to begin with because it's going to turn too quickly. And it's also going to cause all this pressure on the inside of the piercing because instead it won't want to lay flat. And it'll either force the jewelry to migrate out of the piercing, or it will cause it to migrate downward or in a different angle to allow it to shrink down to that size that's going to fit that ring comfortably. So rings, always oversized, even in piercing jewelry that you're wearing after the piercing is healed. Now, how do you measure with curved jewelry? Curved jewelry, like curved barbells and the naval barbells, and some people call them bananas, which I always thought was goofy. Those are a quarter turn, meaning they're a quarter of a circle. If you take a circle and you break it up into quarters, that's what you get. So those, you just measure the width of the piercing from side to side, and that should be fine. It's the same thing with all other barbells and straight post-style jewelry. It just is going to fit the piercing snugly. So the thickness of the material, of the tissue and the piercing is more of concern than anything else. Well, I think that pretty much covers it. Do you have any questions about jewelry width and why it's important? Leave a comment. Happy to answer them, etc. Until next time, here's hoping all your piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I hope to see if your body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.